Hey, Keith.
Cameron. What's up, man?
Another week, my friend. Another week.
Yeah. Never a dull moment in the monolith verse.
No, no. It was interesting that that talk, the ad for the talk that you sent over for September with the monolith.
Oh, the what do you call it? What the hell is that automation company called? Zapier yearly
Yeah,
conference. It has like an
yeah. The
orange monolith on it. Yeah.
Zap conference. Yeah, it's
I thought
fascinating.
it was funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I was like, are
I
we
think
speaking of
it's
that,
like
or what are we doing?
everything's connected and no one is individual anymore. It's like I said, everything's computer, everything's monolith.
We are monolith.
To hack
Well,
monolith, you must become monolith.
it's true. It's true. So, what have you been up to this week? Anything big in your world before we dive into tonight's rant
Oh,
on
it's the
things?
usual chaos and craziness with immigration. It's with the huge, monumental, non-beautiful bill that got passed, whatever you want to call it. Like ICE is getting a huge. I think their budget is bigger than most militaries. So like,
Yeah.
something's up for like the fall. That's like I don't know, but I have a feeling it's gonna. I have a feeling that's like the seed money for like the funny money that's gonna go to like Palantir to like fly AWACS and crazy drone tech to just do a beta test for something we're not even thinking about yet. But I don't know, man. It's in the back of my mind, I feel like all of this isn't about immigrants. It's a backdoor play to hack the Constitution for everybody else because it's like you get really close to what constitutional rights and what the Bill of Rights were supposed to do, and this is a whole other large tangent. So I don't know. I think I see that, and then just trying to get the day to day done to automate as much as I can away. But it's good. It's hot. I got spit on by a hobo who wanted to fight on the train last week. And I'm like
Oh
emailing
my
a client. I'm like,
God.
dude, fuck. That's New York, So, it's great. It's like they
Yeah.
say when you get pooped on by like a pigeon, it's supposed to be good luck. I wonder what
Yeah.
getting like. Actually, he wasn't a hobo. He was just a dude who wanted to fight. And
Great.
there's a whole nother long, But it's like you have to like really not engage. Like don't engage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Know when to hold them, when to fold them. But how you doing, man?
Well, I mean, I'm like you. I'm designing my bug out plan. I'm automating things away, and which we launched our product this week that automates design.
Nice. How did
Yeah,
that go?
it went really well. Like we were out cleanly into complete public use. It's still internal, so we technically consider it an open beta, but it's being used at scale. Very little complaints. A lot of, hey, this is super well thought through and probably one of the most practical applications of a large language model in a business setting.
Cool.
Because I mean, the scale of the things that we're doing is pretty massive. So if you can affect change, even if it drops timeline to market on things from weeks or days, even to hours, which is essentially what we've done.
It's
Um,
exponential.
yeah, it pays off. So it's getting noticed at the highest levels of both the immediate org and the bigger org. So that's cool. I think, obviously, as we've been talking, what it leads to is fear and loathing the design org.
Yeah.
And
Can you
part of
talk
it,
about what you're
yeah.
doing that much, or are you allowed to like talk about what you guys launched at all, or is it like still you have to kind of be black box about it?
I have to be a little bit black box about it. But if it, without kind of telling how it works or specifically what it does, I can give high levels, and I think that's more important than taking people through the blistering details of what it does. In a nutshell, if you look at the persona of a designer working in a complex environment with layers of regs, if you will, right? Whether that be the design system, the interaction guidelines, APIs, complex interaction guidelines that are attached to documentation potentially, and then the underlying functionality, which we don't design. We build the interfaces on top of that functionality, and oftentimes that functionality is defined for specific reasons that get close to data center or silicon, depending on where it is. So as a designer, imagine kind of trying to go through the onion skin of all of those layers of things that you need to understand. It takes months, if not years, for a designer to understand. And once a designer understands that, and then they understand the product that they're working on, and where I work, there's over 200 products, trying to move designers between products is darn near impossible. Just the timeline it takes to get them fluent again, and then hiring people off the street to come in and start to conceptually design products it's expensive and hugely problematic for all those reasons. So what we've done is we've contextualized all of that and built a tool that helps designers understand all of those guardrails and systems. And what we've found is that innovation, non-interface design innovation, so think interaction model, think feature development, feature like abstracting the compute underneath it to what the product can do via the interface. And you can go a bunch of different directions. You could simplify the setup of that. You could simplify repeatable tasks. You could, if you are truly inventive as a designer or as a product team, come in and blend things together to make new functionality. And as soon as designers are freed from all of that mental overhead and all of that cognitive load of trying to figure out how to design within those nested systems,
constraints,
they all of a sudden are just like, oh, I've got an idea, right? And that's what you want, right? It's not about eliminating designers with AI, although, again, like, this is part of what we want to talk about tonight is, that's a thing. I think every CEO, every financial bit of press on any of the large technology companies, and unfortunately, they will set the tone for other non-technical companies, right? Like, you can replace lawyers with AI, you can replace writers with AI, you can replace designers with AI. And, we will go through that cycle, unfortunately. Like, I think that's
coming.
My team's smart enough that my team is smart enough that when it launched, it was like, congratulations, dude, this is amazing, really great work. And what's my timeline for being employed? Like, literally same day, I've got people saying both things.
I mean, do the developers not see the equal opposite writing on the wall? Because if you think about it, it's just maybe you can't. I mean, everyone's thinking about this.
They do.
Yeah.
It's
because
again, I can't talk about the actual feature set, but I can tell you that that when it was demoed, the impact to non-design job families was also readily apparent. And again, if you're a designer, so shifting away from the product and thinking more about the ecosystem, right, which is what we've been talking about, there's a few things that I think as we get into what else should design be doing, system as designed is there to free up designers to do non-interface design tasks, right? Like, that freedom that they're seeing once they're freed from knowing all of those nested systems allows them to invent and innovate. And that was the purpose of what was built. But, in the near term, it's an efficiency play.
The non-interface design tasks is really hard for people to realize. Like, I was even talking to a guy, like one of the doorman dudes at the building I work, He's this Polish dude. He gets kind of what's going on. Like we talk about like whatever. He's a photographer and he understands it. He's like, well, he kind of was like, well, everyone's gonna not need a designer. I'm like, well, it's more than just like your parents using Photoshop at this point. I'm like, you have to. The skill set is going beyond just like look and feel and fonts and color. I mean, like what you guys did is it's like a reverse PRD. So instead of making the requirements for the thing, this is what the thing does. Here's your sandbox limitations to kind of like ramp you up to know what you can and can't do in a way. And it's like if the font and look and feel only require like 10 to 15% of your brain now, because you can just ping this crazy library that's like infinite and growing all the time and showing you what's like the latest and greatest. It's like how you combine and put these things together in unique ways, which is like a hacking mindset and systems thinking, which it's really hard to teach that because it requires you to like let go of all the things you held on to that either gave you like identity or stability.
Yeah.
I don't know if most people are wired for that. And the ones that are wired for that and try and do it, you're being judged by people who aren't wired for it. So like, no. It's like stubborn, not wanting to move.
I'm in a sandwich in some ways in terms of that because, I think before we were at the point of starting to scale this, my boss, rightfully so, was like, what does this do to the quality of the experience? It's like, well, we've had a design system for 7 or 8 years. And in some ways, this is an automation of the design system, right? Like you've now given an intelligent agent that understands the design system. And,
which you should do. Because so much time just maintaining the damn thing. That's like, no one really wants to do that work either. I mean,
no. Same thing with the interface. Like I don't want to review net new interface designs for over 200 products. I can't humanly keep up with that. And the design system was designed to like minimize that, but it hasn't. We still do over 1,000 reviews a year. Like we're doing design review every day of the week, 6 to 7 hours a day.
Dude, God, it's tedious.
It's expensive, and it's necessary because even with human systems, like forget automated systems, with human systems like a design system, you still need a human in the loop to like recognize when the pattern isn't assembled the right way. Well, now you don't, because the computer won't let you. I mean, it will. You can tell it you want to break the rules, but it flags those things and kind of keeps an audit so that when you get down to the point where you are launching, you're going to get a checklist of things to fix or agree, which is all, like, at the end of the day, all I care about is that some designer has signed off on the deviation. That's all I care about, right? And this prevents a lot of the deviation, the normal human error. But when you've chosen to deviate, you kind of put your name on the line and you're like, I am deviating, right? The system keeps track of that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, well, being intentional is one thing, but it's like 80-20 rule, especially if you're working at that scale where it's hundreds of products. And at that point, I mean, it's like the classic Microsoft problem, right? We have all these different kind of like product families, but then they get so big that you can't introduce more meaningful innovation every year that necessitates $100. You're basically paying for maintenance at that point. You're not paying for extra new stuff that makes it better, because you oversold them. This is like classic monolith post disruption, like legacy issue. But so we're talking about like letting go.
Let's dig on the point though that you made about that being a really hard thing to do, because I think you're absolutely right. Like that mindset. I mean, again, you and I've been dealing with that for more than 10 years. Like,
even as like a normal human, trying to rewire my mindset about like eating patterns and like lifting, and like, okay, can I do half an hour at night when I've still got like all my Claude and Chat GPT, whatever credits that I can try and vibe code or whatever, because it's expensive, not expensive cost wise, but you're the tokens, you burn them really fast. But it's hard.
You're like an 8-year-old at a Chuck E. Cheese, aren't you? Get your pocket full of tokens.
I'm paying for this. my dad's not paying for these things, and that's paying for my tokens. I'm paying for my tokens.
Use your
No,
tokens
son, getting more
wisely.
quarters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
use your tokens
exactly.
wisely, Keith. You're not
We
coming
had
home to the Atari 800.
we had those tickets, those like Cardi tickets. We didn't have tokens in like the early '80s. It was like post tokens,
Oh,
pre contactless.
okay.
But they folded. Yeah, I still remember those
I know what
things.
you're talking about. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like a very specific, like almost like a firework kind of smells. The same kind of crappy paper wrapping that was around it.
yeah. Totally. I mean, not to dig too far into my childhood or the hood that I grew up in, but the very first Chuck E. Cheese is actually a mere 7-8 minutes away from where I live.
Oh my god, it's a home innovation
I
in the
mean,
valley.
Atari, baby. It's like right here. And, that guy was like, hey, how do I capitalize on all these arcade
Mm.
machines I've made? Might as well deliver them to restaurants
Yeah,
I own.
I mean, they have barcode or barcade, I think, in Williamsburg. I haven't gone in there yet, but it's like a old '80s arcade. You drink and hang out. I don't know. I think.
I
Anyway,
love pixel
without
gaming,
getting off,
man. I love
dude, I
it.
know 8-bit is classic. Like the new
Oh, it's
games,
so
like, it
good.
requires
So good.
like 6 hours just to get started. But I just want to be
Yeah.
like, boom, in and out for 10 minutes. I want to play like
Yeah.
a round of Mario Kart, be done, drift a little bit because I can't drive a car here in New York. That's like a nice car, well, not a nice car, but you can actually like drive the car. So, but yeah, mindset. So
Yeah.
I'm channeling you from last week, keeping us focused.
Yeah. Good.
It's like
Thanks.
letting go and importance. Yeah, it's. I think the ones who are holding on to a more rigid mindset now, ourselves not included, like because our present company not excluded, like it's going to make you hit the legacy wall faster because the rate of change is just increasing so much that I think an easier way to dive into that is just to say, look, everyone's in the same boat right now. No one knows
Yeah.
what's going on. Everything's chaotic. Like all these fallacies about like government and everything's coming out right now. So it's like you got to like I don't know. I think you got to figure out what is resonant with you, and if you kind of like genuinely try and like solve people's unmet needs and help people, like think that that's always gonna like pay for itself in dividends. And I think you start there. That's the way to kind of like inoculate against the insanity.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I think you're right. Mindset wise, and this sounds like we're a self-help book. But having a growth mindset around what you're doing as a job is like super important because automate, systematize, whatever, all of those things end up killing tasks. And in some ways, as we've said on previous podcasts, the interface design is a task. It is not, we are not inventing at this point in the realm of interface design. We stopped inventing more than 10 years ago. We are executing delivery. And if that's your thing as a designer, there's probably a place for you, but how long, I think, remains to be seen. And my guess would be that's not years, it's
No,
months. And that's not just where I work. I think that's everywhere. Like we're seeing tooling that is commercially available. I mean, even Figma's trying to do that, right? Like all of the announcements at Config this year were about exactly that, like getting closer to developers. Like, and they won't say this because they're not going to burn their market, but they're really trying to get developers onto their tooling to basically do the design task, and that's okay. Yeah. Like as the head of design in a very development heavy culture, it's okay. Like I'm not fighting that because I think it's right for the business. Now, they'll shoot themselves in the foot and they don't understand mental models. They don't understand how to design.
it's almost like everyone's getting a level up and a level down,
At the
but
same
in areas
time.
that they're not. Yeah, and in areas that they're not comfortable with, or that are going to require them to really go through like the abyss of the ego to come out, because then it gets back to like what is real true creativity and novelty.
Yeah. I mean,
you know what I mean? Because like one of these vibe code videos I was watching, this dude was like, look, just go to Dribble, go to here, write the script on, ChatGPT, have it check it out. So you want this, and it's just sharpening the specificity of how you talk to the LLM, and then it just spits back something good enough that it's like, how do you move your, it's like, it's a lot of hacking stuff. It's like that, just how you move forward faster.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, like we had a bunch of people cancel consultations because they're probably shopping around and calling. And whenever somebody calls and asks for a price, we're like, no, like you gotta like, we're not gonna tell how much it costs to get a green card, because they're gonna be terrible clients anyway, because they're gonna be nickel and diming, and then they get you the shit late, whatever. But having to like cancel it and then like manually refund, and it takes like an hour once you do a couple of them. It's like, it just takes so much time to go back and update the CMS. It's like, no one wants to do that. It should just be like, that kind of thing should just be automated. We're like, you are done? Okay, boop, you canceled. No problem.
Yeah.
It sends an email, it's stock, it explains the time, whatever. It's like, like no one wants to do that kind of stuff. But I think there's been this like complacency. I don't know. I wonder if it got worse with COVID, because everyone kind of got forced to like sit at home and be like, it's okay to hang out with your trauma and whatever, and don't change. Which, look, not everyone had the luxury to like go to meditation and sit with like their fucking shadows. I get it.
Totally.
Again, this is supposed to be self help, but
Yeah, totally.
we're at a place now where it's like, you got to move, you got to get up, you got to try new things. And I'm saying this to myself and you and whoever else listens, because this is kind of the same boat that we're in right now. Because it's like, the job you have now is like we were just talking about, like it's Amazon, it's huge, it's building what you're getting to build now. Like those opportunities don't come across all the time. You have to keep pushing to do bigger things at scale, or more complex things, or things that get into like DoD or government or whatever, that they have other kind of complex restrictions. But we're still also at like an amazing time. And I think I see all this just complaining and consternation on LinkedIn, but I also see people starting to turn and realizing like, okay, no one's coming to save us. And it's like, yes, good. Like, who cares? Like, talk about whatever the hell you want to get into, and just like hack the system. No one likes LinkedIn anyway. Like, it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's a way for Microsoft to make money for recruiters or whatever. Like, it's not TikTok.
Yeah. I mean, there's three, like you've said three things over the course of our relationship. One of them you said 10 years ago, which, again, is like, check your ego, recognize that invention is the key, recognize that innovation is the key. And as a designer, you need to rely on the fact that innovation and that creativity and that experimentation and that hacking is eternal, right? Like, if you believe that you're going to keep coming up with innovation and ideas and hack your way to a solution, then you have nothing to fear in shedding the skills, the things of the past, and learning new things or doing something different. So that was 10 years ago. I think a few weeks back, you had said, hey, one of the things that I find frustrating is that people come out of design school or and again, this is not me being disingenuous or crappy about boot camps. I mean, they're there for a reason and they served a purpose. But your other point there too was, people are coming out of these things knowing the tools and knowing how to implement, but they don't actually understand the thinking beneath that, right? And like, we have some foundational things we want to get through today, but I'm also bookmarking, both in this podcast and for us, that the systems thinking is the secret sauce that designers have and that designers are trained in. And that is not only a saleable skill set, it is a unique skill set that designers are trained to do. It's not to say that we're the only ones that know how to think in systems, but we get the benefit of going to school to actually learn how to exploit systems. And, in my mind, whenever a designer is asking me, well, like, what are we doing? It's like, bro, or my lady, you need to dive in and start thinking about the system that you're working in, and you know, like truly, like you are no longer reacting. You are now designing like new systems, right? And so go from interface to interaction to mental model, you know, at the bottom of the iceberg diagram, right? Like if you can get to the place where you are redefining the mental model and then rebuilding up, right, to whatever the interaction is or whatever the interface is or the lack of interface, the communication between the human being and the computer and back again, like that's where your power is. And you know, it's funny because I'm in the aftermath of launching this product, I'm giving that speech quite a bit. It's like, take a breath. Like it's gonna be okay. And recognize that you have a power in this situation that has been probably long overlooked by you and the organization that you work in. But the time is now to like bring that out and really double down on it. Like the moments right now where I'm seeing, and you know, some of my team has been very clued into this either through their own research or their own playing and their own discovery of like, oh geez, like this does a lot of things that we do as humans. Those people, as they're going back into the orgs that they work with, are really in a place where they're saying, you know what we need to do? We need to start using all these technologies and all these tooling and all these other interface like paradigms that we know are coming. And we need to rethink how the product actually functions. And the business people on the other side, the product managers, and even some of the development people are like, hell yeah. Like, you know, and so then you're like, you're in a place where you're doing two things. You're rethinking the product, you're future proofing the design activities, right? Because it starts down at the mental model level and it works its way back up. And no one so far outside of the designers that I've seen has done the dot connecting. Like, oh, well, if I redefine the model and all of a sudden I'm like leaving a browser delivered interface as an example, and I'm moving to more of an agentic or it's not me saying like the chat is going to be our interface. I really don't believe that it is. But, you know, in this first round of playing that people are in, when they're leaving a visual interface and they're going to a chat interface and they're just telling the computer to go do something and the computer's like, it's done and show me the work, right?
Bing.
Like that mental model shift in the HCI, like people have not connected the dots that all of that shit needs to be designed.
I like how you're talking about dot connecting, because when you say systems thinking, a lot of people are just like,
What?
Yeah, exactly. And they don't understand that it's hard to explain, but it's like, because people don't get complex systems at all. And when you do get it, it's just like, you can't, it's almost like you can't unsee it. But think of it like, so if you're going to connect dots, think of it as when we started earlier talking about solving people's problems for them to like make things easier for anybody, regardless of who it is, coworkers, customers, clients, friends, whatever. If you know, at the most base level, it's like I turn on and off the light switch, and all of a sudden the AC stops working, and it's like that shouldn't make sense unless it's like wired a certain way, and then you kind of start trying to isolate knowns and unknowns. But if you take problem areas that people have and you group them together and you try and like put a solution across all of them with like minimal effort or the minimal amount of like cost or time, or with the constraints, that's how you start maximizing all this input. And I think as we get older, it's like people forgot like how to like play or be open or be less rigid with kind of like their thinking. Like, and I see this in law because it's like it's so inflexible, because I get it, it's like emails are discoverable and it's a liability and you can lose your license and all this stuff. And I'm like, we're negotiating for fucking 3 hours of response to like an RFE. It's not like they're going to sue us for malpractice. It's like they took them, whatever. It's like sometimes being more of a human and being like less, because like lawyers want to say like less, because that's how they do it. You know what I mean? But sometimes it pays to be like, look, this is what happened. Mistakes were made. What? No big deal. But we got, we got to make this work. We ship the green card. You got to accept it. We're good to go. But it's going to cost, and it's a money thing. So anyway, I think the dot connecting is important, and the mental models part. Like the mental models, the way I think about mental models is like the way you think that something works. Like maybe that's like affordances where it's like, oh, I have a doorknob, but I don't want to get into like super jargony stuff because most people are going to be like yawn. But you know, the way that we think it works doesn't always necessarily have to be that way. And changing how you perceive or how people perceive the way a thing works, I think that's a great way to start hacking the system, for lack of a better way.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, maybe to take a half step back, I think one of the things that you and I had postulated, and maybe this is a good point to switch over to, is the environment that you are working in, right? Like understanding these core tenets, if you will, of the organization or the company that you work in, right? So, examples. I work in a very engineering driven culture, period. Like it's known when you step in, you're not fighting that. You are not resistant to that. You are saying there are a bunch of things that I will do as a design leader and as a designer to enable developers, both the developers that work around me and the developers that work on the tooling and the products that we sell. Um, you know, beneath that, I think you have to kind of define again, like, not all cultures are the same, right? Like I've been told that Apple used to think of itself as a design culture, right? Like they think through the design of things and the customer need first. Um, other cultures are much more tech specific, depending on where they are in the technology stack. Some of it because the technology is the most important thing that is being shipped. And if it's a process that's based on that technology, everything is in service of that technology. So when you're thinking about those things and how humans are going to interact, you're almost thinking backwards, right? It's not what is the human doing? It's like the human needs to service the technology to make the output happen. So I'm thinking first about what the machine needs from the human, and then I'm designing the easiest way for the human to provide that, right? The other thing that you and I were talking about, and again, we can break down any of these things, is then in understanding kind of the human systems that you're working in, right? Like, are you in a very hierarchical culture? Are you in a small team environment, in a larger environment? If you're in a startup, you probably are like, no rules. We just need to get things out as quickly as possible. And knowing that and understanding the human beings that are sitting around you and what their intentions are and what their needs are, and in some ways what their value systems are, starts to be how you map your way through getting decisions made in those individual orgs. And, maybe we can talk a little bit about our own experience there, because again, like you and I made a wall, like the FBI wall, and we put up all the players, right? It's like, and through our analysis of the players, the first thing that you had us do was like, hey, and I'm using different jargon maybe than you and I used when we first did this, but since doing this, I've read some books, and it's like, who are your megaphones? Who are your gatekeepers? Who are your, like, how does the information travel through these humans, right? Like if everything around a decision maker is a gatekeeper, right? And every angle that you come at it is somebody gatekeeping, then you need to figure out what the value system is of the gatekeepers. If you need to go through a megaphone to get to a decision maker, you go make friends with that person and figure out like what it is that you need to drop to them that is going to make their job easier, better, or more valuable to the people around them, that's going to get them the promotion that they need. And you're seeding those things so that they take care of you when it's time to get the idea. And that mindset too, Keith, I think is the other thing that I'm struggling with in my current environment. Is I'm like, back to the original premise, the innovation is the thing that I want to own. I don't actually want to own the product that I'm working on. Somebody else can own that.
You want to be the guy or the team that people come back to help solve their problems. You're like, okay, you want to call like the SWAT team inside Amazon.
Yeah. The currency is
Yeah.
innovation, right? It is not the products that I'm producing. Like I'm almost like open sourcing when it gets to a certain level of refined or defined or delivered. I'm like, you don't need me. Like, go crazy, and I'm off to the next thing. Or my little team's off to the next thing. And even my like closest right hand people at this point are struggling with like, but we just launched it. I'm like, and there's another one right behind it, like that we have on a whiteboard. So like, what is our focus? Is it, do you want to own the innovation or do you want to own the product? If you want to own the product, speak now. Go own the product. You're happy to cut you free to go and do that, right? I
Yeah.
value what you bring to the innovation, but if you need to own the product, go own the product. You can't do both.
That's certain death in the long run, though,
Because the
because
numerical superiority of the roles around you outnumbers you like 1,000 to 1 in some instances.
I think the more we talk through this, the more you're going to have to be innovative, for lack of a better term, just because the AI and the rate of innovation of everything is just going to accelerate and just grind all that extra weight out, because it's like, oh man, there's a bunch of things in here. So the formation conditions, the way a company starts is always, at least when I started consulting, how I'm like, why the hell people do what they're doing? Aside from, we've always done it this way. I'm like, okay, great. I get you've always done it this way, but
Yeah.
like,
I don't
why are
wanna
you
hear
guys
that.
this way? What, why is the sky black instead of blue or midnight blue? And it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, help me understand. I generally want to understand.
Yep.
And so like Amazon it is development driven culture, but it was also started by a guy who left like a super quant shop, DE Shaw or D Shaw. That's where Google got like the 25% or 20% free time or whatever. Like a lot of those things from tech came from that. And Amazon's like a super heavy writing and data culture. And correct me if I'm wrong. So if you don't have the data and you don't write it down, you don't like put it in paper, you basically like crucified, and it's like super hardcore with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any major
Okay.
decision that you're making, right? There's what they call one-way and two-way doors. One-way doors are bad, two-way doors are good. If
Yep.
you are
Reversible decisions.
dealing in two-way doors, you can keep your docs high level. Like they recommend certain doc lengths, right? 1-pager, 2-pager, right?
See, there's a culture around how you structure the flow of information, communication cooperation network.
There is. And it they're like dog whistles you can't avoid, right? Like, hey, we're about to be in a place where, and, again, different parts of like the company's ginormous. It's over 1.5 million people working, and
Crazy.
like there are 100 design orgs across the company. So how we do it is different than how somebody in the marketplace is going to do it versus somebody in devices versus somebody in Prime Video. But in my org, when we are about to make a crucial decision that we believe may be a one-way door, we do write a doc where we've tooled the culture in some way. Is we're moving much more in a lean way, especially with innovation, right? Because I'd rather run 6 experiments than spend 2 weeks writing a doc. I'd rather have my team inputting into an experiment or a prototype than writing a doc. And
that's the Facebook way. Even though it's development driven, they're more like hack a prototype and show it and then break shit and keep moving versus, so they're similar foundations but different implementations.
Yes.
But they're still both the tides of how you operate in the organization.
So and purity of model has never been my thing. I mean, you've worked with me for a really long time. I'm a rule breaker. I like to hack things as well. We came from a lean environment.
100%.
And I firmly believe in lean principles. I firmly believe in show, don't tell. And what I have learned as a business person, less a design person and more of a business person, is like all the points that you just made can't get thrown out the window. Like the quantitative analysis, as much as you can do it, or the data to drive your decision making when it comes to what a customer needs, is really important. And you can get to a certain place models and with demos and prototypes. And then at some point when you are committing either to a development direction or a given design direction, or in this case, even like switches to the HCI model, like I am pretty insistent that my team write docs, because you have to justify what you've just shown. And if you
Can
can't,
you explain it?
you can't do
Yeah.
that intelligently and have somebody inspect it and basically say, okay, I got it. You're probably missing some part of the equation, or you haven't thought through something that you need to. And, that's an adaptation, I think, from where we were when we were at Macy's, where we're just like, and, you and I would get totally frustrated. We were on a floor of people. I think at one time there were like, I think I had my own designers on 14 different innovation teams. And you and I'd be
There's
like,
a lot.
I mean, you saw the result. You made how many camera angle video?
We did 4. It was POS, the people, and then we had like, it was 2 POSs, the people, and then what do you call it? Like a handheld gimbal. So it was like, I think it was 4 angles. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so what you did was you embarrassed basically the innovation org, as well as all of the senior executives that greenlit all of that innovation, because they were not innovating to solve problems. They were innovating and straight to launch. It's like, this will make money. It's like,
They did
will
the Facebook.
it?
Yeah. And this is the MBA take on being purely data and purely financial driven, and like not human and observation and design driven. And like the way I think you and I see this is very much about like red teaming and hacking, like see if it works, test it, and then it's like, okay, how do you substantiate the business claim at scale through like writing, through real proofs, through like, actual rigorous analysis, like
Yeah.
selling your data to hack the cash conversion cycle to like leverage negative working capital. Like we talked about this, like you have your suppliers fund your growth kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was pointing out like different people, it helps people. I think it helps people to see how to see. And even though multiple companies are like design, like development driven, like there's different flavors of that. But if you understand how the company as a whole like lives and breathes, you understand how to like work with the tides or work against them, or to leverage their natural inertia to make your own hacking, implementation, engineering, whatever, work for you instead of against you. It's like you're not going to swim, like the complete opposite way of a riptide. You have to go like across it, otherwise you're going to get like just tossed out to sea. You're just gonna, it's a miracle superiority. It's just going to burn you out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, again, is really hard to get your head around, right? Like it's easy to bias one direction or the other. Like, hey, we need a doc. Like when I got there, I could not get people to make prototypes. I mean, I could get my own team to make prototypes, but it was like, well, what are we going to do with this? Like, you're going to go and demo this for the development and the product org that you're working with. And they're like, nope, it will not happen without a doc. So I'm going to write the doc first and we'll do a demo at the back end of the doc. I'm like, you'll run out of time, because every single meeting we spend hours arguing about the doc. And
it's like wireframes and comps. It's like they get caught in the design of the comp, and you're like, this is the wrong thing to be focusing on.
Yep. And I mean, like my chief like innovation designer, the guy that I go to say like,
Mr. Wizard,
I don't know what I'm I don't know what I'm trying to solve yet, but like just go with me on the journey, right? Like I feel so bad for him. And he's been with me since Macy's, right? Like did Macy's, did Safeway, now here. And
he's an OG.
He's like the guy that I trained on all this stuff. So like he, in some ways,
he's probably really effective.
He's pretty effective. Like he really is pretty effective. Like over the 15 years, he's gotten to the point where he can illustrate things and bring them to life in ways in record time. But even today, like he's gilding that interface slowly. I'm like, dude, boxes and arrows right now. Like you and I are having a conversation and you can like point at things and wave at things and like just say, oh, this is going to do this. And I can fully follow you. Like every moment that you're spending actually like detailing the interface right now, because I guarantee you Friday when he and I look at this again, one of us is just going to be like, nah, that doesn't work. And it's like hours lost. I'm like, keep it lo-fi, like keep it so lo-fi right now. and like verbalize everything when, you know, if you're worried about having to sit me down for an hour and walk me through it, don't worry about that. Like, I'd rather have that meeting than you send me a polished prototype and like start here, you know, and I go away and I'm clicking through stuff because I guarantee like most of it's going to get scrapped. And, you know, the dude that's been working with me for 15 years, I had to remind, like, keep it lo-fi, you know?
Dude, it happens. It's the environment seeps into you where it's like you stop seeing, you know, like I was just thinking, seeing the trains pass by, there's like a little bit more graffiti on the outside of trains like every day. And like every day it gets closer to the 80s where it's like, you see those pictures of New York in the 80s, it was like
It was a
the
war
trains are
zone.
plastered. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, dude, this is where it's heading right now. I'm like, fuck, okay. I'm like, don't be complacent. Don't boil the other frogs right now. I'm like, you know, it's like, because this is about like, if there's opportunities, you got to like seize it and go. And especially like astrologically, that's what's happening. Like, we got a couple more weeks till things start kind of like coming back. And this fall is going to be like, we're looking through to the old way, and you got to make a decision of like, you're going to move ahead or you're going to stay in the past. If you stay in the past, like, it's not going to be fun. Like, we got to, you know, we got to move ahead. Even if you do it partially, there still has to be some kind of intention. Like, we're not, real ID is not going away. LLMs aren't going away. You know, like the earth is changing, like everything's changing. So, but still, there's all this powerful capability that I think the real designers are going to be the people who are actually, it's like real human centered design, not this like, you know, platitude from like just IDEO and about like UX or whatever, but it's like fundamentally like, are you actually trying to help people improve their quality of life?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of where I ended last week and this week, which is saying a lot. And those people that, I mean, you know me well too, but like, I'm pretty pessimistic about most things, and I can be very cynical about a lot of things. And
Both of us.
yep, that's why we're friends. You know,
but optimistic too. It's a weird paradox.
like I ended last week in such an optimistic place where I'm like, this is game changing, and not the product I'm launching, not like just it's almost like having, you know, it's like when we were kids, like, hey, what would happen if I had a bionic set of arms and legs? Like, just think of how fast I can run and how strong I'd be. Like, AI for designers is like having an exoskeleton that allows you to run 60 miles an hour and like lift a car. Like, it's gonna be so good when we get the opportunity to truly like harness its capabilities, because it is a giant unlock. It's a giant unlock.
Oh yeah.
Like, we were always stopped
it's
from building, right? It's like, design it, and you know, the smart people are going to go away and build it. And it's like, yeah, not so much anymore, right? Like, it is leveling the playing field. It is absolutely going to level the playing field.
It's the challenge of getting over that, like, you can't do it. You're not old enough. You're not tall enough to ride the ride. You don't know how to do developers. Like, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's like, now
Yeah.
it's like, no, everyone can do it. It's
Yep.
like, everything's computer. You just got to like stop attaching value to putting boxes on a page that have some color on it, like in Figma. And, you know, if you like doing that, that's fine. You can still do it, but there's so much more available now that things have like leveled up. And I think that's going to be the hardest part. But, you know, again, like back to the formation conditions and the culture and like learning how to hack things and, you know, understand how to solve people's unmet needs. I think that's finding people to work with that you're actually helping. It's going to provide that like current to help carry you along and help find you people to kind of work with in a way that's not just like, okay, we have to do this out of like necessity because like a bridge blew up and we have to survive. It's like, no, we can actually do something cool together and actually resonate on like a common carrier wave.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think that's true. It's like the problems that designers are going to be tasked to solve. It's a whole different mental model. It's a whole different problem space, right? And it's greenfield and it's exciting. Like, I think that's the thing that I'm coming to as well, is no one knows right now. Like, nobody knows what it is that we're going to need to like make this HCI work. No one knows what those products are going to be, how they're going to work. But the one thing that I'm seeing is the complexity that, like you just said, that designers specifically have always been sad. Like, oh yeah, you know, you can maybe sit at the table, but you're getting a smaller chair because the important people get the big chairs, right?
Yeah,
And
you get the kids chair, the
and
plastic seats,
like all of
sippy
that's going
cups.
away. Yeah, I mean the sippy cups come out, and here's your crackers, and like I've cut your cheese for you. Um, you know, while meanwhile everybody else is like, you can't really talk to the designers because they don't really understand the underworkings of this. Like they don't really understand the product. Like let them skin it. It'll look better when they're done with it. And anything that we decide is too hard to implement, just cut it. Like that's the other thing that the designers that are working with me that are knee deep in that experimentation. They're like, AI is like the best developer I've ever worked with because it never says no. Like it just figures
Yeah,
it out. It's like it takes whatever I'm designing and it figures it out. And the code at this point may be messy, but every time they run, like every time we upgrade a model or every time we upgrade a knowledge base, the code gets cleaner, it gets faster, it gets more performant, right? And like human developers, whether it's like a mentality towards that, they don't go back and revise their code. They're not like
it's too
looking for
much.
ways unless you tell them to look for ways to make it, like the P90 needs to drop, and you're like, I mean, who, like, to the point you made earlier, who wants to do that work? Nobody.
Human, no, it's too. You need a computer to look at the patterns to like optimize, and that level of. I mean, there's like handfuls of geniuses that can do that, but if they're smart and not like hyper autistic or something, then they're leveraging AI too to build their own companies because they realize the capability, the exponential capability of what's available. And there's something I was going to say on top of all this too. Yeah, the real, like, the designers get a bad rap because they care about human causes, whatever, it's like Gaza or
Absolutely.
Ukraine or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Those things are going to get, they're going to get bigger. They're not going to get smaller. Like there's going to be a holy war. Every country is going to have people revolting against its own state because the restrictions are going to try and put on it. Your data is going to become even more important because the way that they support and feed you and process money is going to be tied to if you're compliant vis-a-vis your data and your identity. Like there are so many huge challenges coming up that people don't, like, we see it because we're a little cynical and because we're futuristic. We're kind of how we forecast, but this is the opportunity. And like people are going to go into like defense and make weapons through drones and through like pharmaceuticals or whatever, because it's a whole crazy brave new world. Like the powered exoskeletons are like right around the corner. Like it's very close. And we need people who aren't just the mad scientists without limits trying to make a bunch of money and control the world, like with these freaking Faustian bargain makers. Like you need people who, these are the opportunities to channel all this energy you have instead of just like getting mad and angry about it at some like coffee house or whatever, or like getting plastered on the weekends or smoking weed. Like that's fine if you do that, but like and the internet's like collapsing everything. Like you can find these people around the world. Like, that's the other thing that's crazy too, is like, okay, after COVID and it was remote work, all of a sudden anybody anywhere in the world, their cost basis is lower than yours to live in San Francisco or LA or Seattle, that they have access to the same tools. So it's like everything's wide open now, that it's a challenge because they're coming for your lunch, but they're also collaborators that you can like work with to address new problems at different scales with different mental models. Like they grew up different ways than you did.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, it's time to embrace
I'm
those things again. Like I think, if that's one message I could leave this, because, oftentimes I think, like, I personally get frustrated in both directions. I get frustrated with um our own practice area kind of being like wallowing in it, right? Oh God, like it's like, okay, you're wallowing in some, and honestly, like what you brought up about LinkedIn is the thing that I read. I read a very creative post by somebody that, he's a creative, like a true creative. I think he works somewhere in the ad industry, but it was a whiny, like, we're in free fall and everything is horrible. And it was just like, the machines can do everything. And it's like, right, but that's not true. Like, the machines can do a bunch of things that are actually commoditized, low value design that no designer wants to be working on anyway. And we're so like defensive about that. And that's the thing that, again, is one of my frustrations. Like, stop being defensive. Like, admit that these tasks that you freaking hate can be eliminated by the machine, and like, get there and attack those problems and get rid of all of that undifferentiated work so that you can free yourself to go and do the things that you do. But if you can't, on the other end of that, see the green field and basically go after like voraciously with creativity, then you do have a problem, right? And that is what's going to separate the next field of senior level design talent from the people that went through a 2-week boot camp and don't have another skill set other than interface design. And you can play that game for a while and move down the business chain, right? Like, you can go to you can go from a technology company to a mid-tier company. You can go from a mid-tier company down to a small company, a regional company, any of those things, right? Like, it's going to take years for all of these companies to catch up, or all of these organizations to catch up. But it's going to happen faster than anybody thinks. And that's the piece. It's like, I wouldn't recommend anybody play that game unless you are such a fine artist in your creative skills and your visual communication skills or your artistic skills that you can do things that are hand hewned. Like, there's a market there, certainly. Like, but outside of that, the guy that's just slinging interfaces together, it's gonna be a hard road. And it doesn't have to be. I guess that's like the positive side of it, is like, it doesn't have to be.
That world is over. The boot camp is like enough to learn how to kind of get some basic fluency to get you like conversational with the thing or the medium, but do not rely on that for a job anymore. I mean, even in 2017, I was like, oh my God, we're going to be totally overserved. And I mean, the analog would be like spending the same few $1,000s to go to like Harvard Negotiation Institute for a week to learn how to negotiate, but you're doing it with like super sharks. Like, they're like Columbia and Harvard law students who want to like, so you're going, like, you're learning, setting the difficulty level high, and you're like getting your money's worth out of it. But you're not going to go become a lawyer after that. You're going to go apply that and fold that into your own skill set, what makes your own thing unique. And like all these middle, like a lot of these companies are not going to make it. Like, it's just the nature of work and money and culture is like we're at an exponential like 10 to 100x speed and amount of change relative to what the internet did. But we're going to see like 1,000 years of change happen in like the next like 15 years.
Yeah.
It's going to be like 2 Protestant Reformations level of change.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I think what you just said, I'm seeing that being signaled in front of me, right? Like, I think a year ago, I was a little bit like, why are all these CEOs telegraphing in some ways what their moves are around the people? And it's exactly what you said. They are in a place where they have to telegraph their moves, even if it sounds cruel in the moment, because they have to get there first. Because the company that doesn't get there first is now going to be dictated to as to how this model works, right? That's why you see companies like Meta spending hundreds of millions of dollars to recruit a single individual over, because they know if they don't, they're going to be dictated to. And
yeah,
it's silly.
First rule of combat, element of surprise.
Yeah, it's silly. But I think every CEO in the tech industry, at least, I can't speak to other industries because unfortunately, as this revolution is happening, I'm sitting in a tech company, but they all have to look in the mirror and recognize that when OpenAI went public beta to consumers, it was a brilliant move, and none of them saw it coming, right? Like they all had met with OpenAI. They all had been shown what OpenAI could do and what a large language model at scale was capable of. And I think they all probably were like, yeah, that's interesting. And there's applications, obviously, like, you know, even companies like the one I'm working in have been in AI for 20 years. But that type of AI, I think they didn't, if you hand it to an engineer is going to try and figure out like what it can engineer. If you hand it to a business person or a designer, they're going to be like, oh, wow, like I can get to fucking the HAL 9000, you know, super quick. I think there was a lot of engineering evaluations and not a lot of business evaluations. And I think OpenAI was brilliant. They're like, you know what? You know, the biggest way to change the world? Give it to consumers. Consumers will drive the uptake. And they needed to do it anyway, because imagine a world where Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Meta are all like behind the scenes doing things with AI, and they're like, there's AI involved, and no one on the front end of those interfaces understands AI. Like, what kind of a revolt against that technology are you having if you're not comfortable with AI? So they're like, we'll just bring it out in plain sight and drop it on everybody and see what happens, you know? Like, and of course, everybody ran to it and they're like, this is amazing. You know, like I can get this, like everything that I loved about Google, this is like 20 times better. And Google's like, whoa, wait a minute, you know?
Now they have to get way in and get first because people are starting to use it and use it in ways that they don't intend.
Well, I mean, why do you think Microsoft made a deal with them? It was like, hey, here's a bunch of billions of dollars, like we want in, you know? They'd missed that first investor tour. And OpenAI is like, we're going to make you care, right? Like, I mean, this is my conjecture. I wasn't sitting in a room with Sam Altman and he's like, here's my master plan. But it seemed pretty obvious that instead of going with these business apps, right, they were like, we'll build a chat bot that everybody can use and it'll be amazing. You know, it's like the quickest way of doing two things at once. I force you to interact with me now because every person on the planet is like AI. And at the same time, you get mass acceptance of the technology because people are like, oh, it's not scary. It's actually kind of cool. It does things better than Google does. It's brilliant.
It's interesting to hear people in passing find new uses of like unconventional uses to solve problems with AI because it helps them look up legal statutes or find a backdoor to get a refund through Amex or whatever. It doesn't, you know what I mean? There's like, because it's like a Swiss Army knife that's constantly evolving.
When it breaks everything down for you too, it's like, hey, let me not only aggregate this stuff, let me do two things. Let me follow on. Hey, if this made sense, do you want me to look at this? Right? Google doesn't do that. Google's like, Cam, go figure it out. Here's the 20 links and, you know, you can go as deep as you want and then you can come back. Like, but it's all on me. And ChatGPT specifically, right? Speaking of that specifically, you know, it does a really good job of summarizing, and then it's like, and it's friendly, and it's like, it takes in the context that you give it, like, oh, you're really stressed out about this. Like, hey, this is important and let's talk about it, right? It like, they put human qualities to it that you're like, okay, you know, but it cites its sources. It tells you where you can find more. Hey, you don't totally trust my synopsis? Like, go click through these links and you can do what you did in Google. You can go and read the details, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing to me. The more I use it, the more I learn that your prompt quality gets you just better results in the output. Like, just, we're trying to figure out disability pay, family leave, because there was like a lapse in coverage, but the state nor the insurance company we just paid to get the plan could tell us how to like turn off the fees and how to make sure we're like in compliance. Like, I don't know, call them. They're like, I don't know, call the other guy. It's like,
yeah,
you know, what the fuck? Like, come on, we're trying to like do this right, you know? And then I'm like, wait a second. And then I had the prompt down and it took me to a page or one of the sources that like, there's a business, you know, office or whatever, or, you know, the Business Advocate of New York. I'm like, oh, and I picked right up. And I was like, oh my God, I got a hold of somebody in like 90 seconds. It's like never happens. It's
like
usually
brilliant, right?
I was like, done. And she's like, yeah, just write him an email, give him this, and this, and you could have negotiated the settlement. And I was like, all right, well, now I know post facto, but it's like, as long as we stop hemorrhaging, like that's also a plus.
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. I think the prompt quality, both when you're designing something, matters, but even when you're just trying to figure out something, like, and prompt quality does not mean prompt engineering. Prompt quality means it's thinking. A little bit like having coffee with your friend and you're just like, look, you just got to go with me on this trip. It's not going to be fun, but like I'm just dumping it all out on the table. And my wife was kind of doing that this weekend. It was like, we're trying to figure some things out with I mean, not right now, but we're trying to put a plan together for like what our retirement is. We're also like multi-country, all these factors, right? And it's confusing and trying to process that in your head. And
variables.
There's not a human being on the other side. There's a
probability.
There's a variable engine with a bunch of probabilities, and it's like, okay, let me understand everything that you're saying, and like let me ask follow-up questions so that I can understand even more. And then once I do, let me just break it all down for you in ways that you can understand it. And you can keep asking me questions, and I'll keep refining what it is that I'm giving you. Like, no search engine in the world can do that. So it's, like you said, it's seductive, but that same interaction applied to anything that we're doing now is really, I think, what it's going to be about. And again, it can be a tool, or it can be your foe. I don't see it as a foe. I see it as, I mean, it's not friend either, right? But it's a tool, and you can utilize the tool to your advantage.
That's what I think it comes down to, is that it's a tool. It's just learning. It's just it's a tool that's constantly changing at a rate that humans aren't used to with the evolution.
Yep. I mean, yeah, with my own tooling, Claude didn't understand certain aspects of visual. It couldn't process certain visual things, right? It was very good at taking photographs and understanding what was in the photograph, not so good at understanding a schematic, as an example. And that changed in literally like 3 weeks. It's like, doesn't work. 3 weeks later, oh my God, totally works, right? I can hand it screenshots at this point of my interfaces, and it will break apart the screenshot, reconstitute the interface, and it's like, hey, you want this in Figma? Like, or do you want it in your own tool? Or like, how do you want it? And
that's awesome.
Keith, we fed it 25 different screenshots that were all related, but we did it out of order, and it ordered them. It made the prototype
amazing,
like from all the way through without us telling it, like, hey, this is wrong, like move this. It took all 25 and just was like this, then this, then this, then this, then this, then this, all the way through. Created all the linkages.
It's just like, wow.
Yeah. And then because
like, how fast can you react? That's what it comes down to. It's like, how fast can you like get your thing explained and corrected, like refined?
Not that fast, right? No human can do that.
No.
Like, it would take a human an hour just to like understand the 25 screenshots. Like, okay, wait, what? Okay, hang on, right? You and I would
sitemap.
You and I would print them out and probably get tape, and we'd tape them to our FBI wall. And then we would say, like, you'd be like, no, 3 is actually before 2. 60 seconds, Keith. It's like, okay, here you go. I'm like,
that's nuts.
I'm like looking at the designer, like, okay, let's see what else happens. He's like, I think you can click through it. I was like, let's try it. Sure enough, you can click through it.
That's awesome.
It's like, holy crap. 3 weeks.
I mean, it totally redefines like the speed and scale at which you can operate. You just gotta like put the seat time in to like learn how to talk to it.
Well, I mean, like, it's almost like surfing, right? Like, you don't fight the wave. You also don't. You're never going to control the wave. All you can do is ride the wave, right? And if you like learn how to get above it and not get crushed, it's like the time of your life. It's like the best feeling ever. You're like, oh my God, like, look at what I just did. I harnessed the power of the ocean to go like 300 yards at speed. It's the same thing. You're never like, at this point, humans cannot keep up with the amount of learning that this is doing in any given 24-hour period, right? Like you can't keep up
That's
with
the
that.
challenge. Yeah.
Like
That's the big trick.
You gotta act like you gotta dismiss that. You're not trying to keep up. And you gotta basically be like, what can I do with it? What do I do with it?
Getting back to like the curious free play with it, to not be so attached, again, not getting attached to the outcomes. It's like Buddhist in a way, but it's like the more you can channel that, the easier it gets, because you're just like, fuck it, just see what happens and just play with it.
Yeah. Own the innovation. Maybe this is a good summary, because I feel like in some ways we're talking about ocean metaphors.
Vaya con Dios, can.
Yes.
Own the ocean.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Own the innovation.
Yeah. You can't let him take me away, Keith. You can't. I can't live in a box, Keith.
I love that movie.
It's so good.
Red Hot Chili Peppers. Oh, God.
Yeah.
All right, let's sum this up. Own the innovation.
Own the innovation.
Don't own the product.
You don't want to own the product. It's low value. Like innovation. Oh, one other thing about that, related to that. Innovation is impossible for a machine to take away from you. Like,
why?
Because no machine is going to come up with these human-based systems. Net new creation, yeah, sure, it can combine things. But net new creation, the way that we design things, the closer you get to pure innovation, the harder it is to be replaced by another human being or a machine. And the closer you get to interface design, again, it's a task. It's not a skill. It was a skill. It is not a skill anymore. It's a
commodity.
It's a commodity. The closer that you are to that, the easier that you are to replace. And information architecture and some of the things that we do as baseline practices, or that we always used to do, which people are like, I don't need to do that. That's somewhere in the middle. We still need that thinking. We still need those systems design. We still need hierarchies of information. All of those things, I think,
define the territory,
are going to still have value, because a human is going to need to explain to other humans why systems do what they do. Storytelling is the other thing. Storytelling we did not talk about at all, but that is another hugely powerful thing that designers are uniquely qualified to do, right? And to even your points about safety and looking out for the human beings and society and things not collapsing, designers can tell stories in more compelling ways than most other resources in any company or any organization or any government. Because we break things down into things that humans can understand quickly
and care about.
Yeah. So, that's another area that designers that are looking to try and move beyond the interface like that. Again, that's another thing I would absolutely recommend. So yeah, own the innovation, not the product. Understand the environment that you're working in, right? That is how you begin the formative states of what you need to do to be the Swiss Army knife that you want to be, or work tactically in the environment that you're in. So, understanding the macro picture of the org that you work in, and then starting to assess the human beings that are around you to figure out what it is that how you can use them in some ways to get further and deeper into the organization that you're trying to influence. And we maybe end where we started, which is systems thinking. I think that's an area where we probably need to go deeper, and we need to show some of the things that we analyzed as systems and then tried to modify or hack. Because I think that, again, from a storytelling standpoint, that probably is something that we can ground other designers into. So as we typically do at the end, we make notes, and that feels and that's probably not something that you cover in one podcast. That probably is going to take some time.
No. Well, there's some good books that we can come back to and refer people to if they want to this has always been a challenge to figure out how you teach this. And I don't know if you can teach it or you can kind of, we'll see. I don't know. I'm optimistic. I think the first step is learning how to see and how to be open. Like, I don't know if we talked about this before, but when we go to DEF CON, we just bring beers and give out free beers, and like we wouldn't really go to bar. It was too expensive. Like, they would rip you off. Like, we're not getting ripped off going to fucking bars. So this is a whole nother side story. But we'd hang out outside the casinos and just watch people come in and out, and you're like, hooker, 3-person Monty trying to rip people off, like, you know, bachelorette party. It was just a people watching, and you kind of seeing the patterns and kind of like how they hang out, and you start seeing commonalities between like multiple bachelor or bachelorette parties. And you talk to the cabbie on the way from the airport, and he's like, dude, we're like, what's the craziest story you ever heard? Because obviously they're cabbies and they're gonna hear crazy shit in Vegas. There's one guy's like, dude, there was one guy who lost $800 in like 45 minutes at a strip club. He's like, he's like, he just got fleeced. No one told him how it worked, what was going on. They just took out his credit card and just, and you know, it's, you gotta know how to see and gotta understand that you know, you can change the humans, but you can't change human nature.
Right.
And the way that I kind of always approach this is like, it's like a giant intelligence operation, but you're not trying to screw people over. You're trying to make it work for everybody in the best way possible. And if you do that, it inoculates you in a way that will help carry you forward. And you know, people screw you over, fine. You move the other way and you find another way around. It's just that's human nature too. But fundamentally, the ones who are going to be the most effective are the ones who are going to want to change the world, and the ones who are going to want to do it to actually benefit everybody, not based on some crazy ideology that you think, but based on how it's everyone's own unique nature.
Yeah, I think well said. I can't add anything beyond that. I think you get the last word tonight, because that was actually brilliant.
All right, well, you set the stage for next week. Next week's going to be systems thinking. We'll start that.
All right, love it.
We'll have to figure out how we're going to attack that. So,
well, I mean, I'd like to use some of the visuals that you came up with originally, because they're safe, for one. I think they worked.
Yep.
And I think it's good that we show something, right? Like, we're going to eat our own dog food. We're going to actually show the materials that we worked on where possible. We'll have to go and do a quick scrub through things, but I think
they're still effective.
Yeah, they are.
When I go to these chief of staff cons, I'm like, dude, map an org chart. They're like, what? I'm like, who's going to help you? Who's going to hurt you? I'm like, plot your run.
Yep.
I'm like, they're like, oh. I'm like, yeah, that's it. And I'm like, what are like the 6 things everybody complains about that no one can change? Like, oh, it's like tech sucks and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's it. Those are the things you have to address subtly as a whole. That's your physics package. And you drop that, and then you're going to make waves. And they're like, so it's applicable. And hopefully, we have to talk about this more offline, but if we can find ways to leverage AI to make this work like at scale, like change management at scale, I think there's something very compelling here for future.
Agreed.
You know,
I'll have a think about that too. So, I think that's actually a really good thing. All right. As always, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude. Almost midnight, but I like these late night runs. I get a second wind after working out and hanging out. So this is good. As long as it's not 90 degrees in the house, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah,
we'll power through.
I'm dealing with that too, because the sun's not quite down yet. So,
well, more. Yeah, we'll get more. We'll get some lights and get to fix that tech part too. But at least the tech worked like as soon as we turned it on tonight. So that's good.
Yeah, it was good. It was much less. But again, you know, the human side of it. You all get to suffer through the last episode where we were literally offline for like half the episode.
Not fixing it in post. We don't have that kind of budget right now.
No way. You get it raw. All right, man.
Okay.
Thanks, Keith.
It's getting too late. We're gonna I'll catch you next week. All right.
See ya.
All right. Later.